do this. This is
Welcome to Diversity Conversations, where we engage in thought-provoking dialogue to identify leadership solutions to today's most challenging conflicts. Stream live each week, Saturday 9:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. Hosted by Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Strategist and CEOs Eric Ellis and Tommy Lewis. Join us and add your voice to this engaging diversity conversation.
good morning, Greater Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky, the United States, and the world. My name is Eric Ellis, and I'm the president and CEO of Integrity Development Corporation. And I'm joined this morning by my good friend and brother,
Tommy Lewis, President and CEO of Make It Plain Consulting. Good morning, Eric.
Woo! Tommy, what's going on, man?
Nothing much. It's great to be here.
It is great to be here, and we're so glad that the conservatives cannot eliminate our consultancy.
Yeah.
A judge in Florida said we got First Amendment rights
Yes.
to say the words diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging.
Woo!
All right. It was a close call there. About to be canceled right out of courts. But Tommy, let's start off, man, by just talking about how was your week?
I had a great week, Eric. A great week. Usually it's good, or maybe kind of a boilerplate response.
Right.
This week was great.
Right.
Had the opportunity to work with a very precious client of ours, In Circle.
Okay.
In Circle of Virginia and West Virginia, for those who are less familiar, for our community members, citizens, and family members who have minor or severe disabilities.
Okay.
Throughout the entire country, but particularly for In Circle, in those two states, they have residence homes.
Okay.
They provide respite opportunities. They actually have experts and teachers in schools, and then they have independent schools for those who have special needs.
Right.
So we came together for the executive leadership retreat, 2-day, full day, very immersive in the mountains.
Oh man, that's beautiful.
And it was absolutely in the mountains.
Right.
So we had a good time, and ultimately what we landed on, Eric, was the executive team. They know what they're doing in their respective roles: CEO, CFO, HR, director of all the programs, et cetera, et cetera. But then as they work, for the most part, virtually from one another, and they're in the grind of their daily business, unintentionally, they were developing silos.
Okay.
Right.
Right.
Again, very
good,
unintentional.
Right.
And it was just, hey, Eric, I'm over here.
Right.
And you're over there. And one of the silos was, can I give Eric a call? No, he's too busy, because I know I'm busy. And so that starts to develop.
So everybody trying to protect people.
Yep.
And closing off access.
We called a timeout. Talked about the team.
Okay.
Because there were folks in the staff, that were sensing, and the exec team talk together. And then at the end of the day, what made the week so good for me for that session was there was one individual who was literally on the fence of, should I stay or go? At dinner time, she said, Tommy, I am much more clear, confident, and secure in where I am. This is where I need to be.
Okay.
Right. And I said, well, I take that as a compliment. She said, you should, because it is. And so I felt very proud and happy that my talents could be well received, understood, and wasn't received as selfishness. What I was doing was not about me.
Right.
It was about them. And so that's what makes my weeks go well, when I'm able to make other people achieve their potential, their greatness, uncover their strengths.
Right. We want to thank our community for joining us. Ken Wilson, man, we are so glad to have you here this morning with us on this happy Holy Week.
Yes.
And Tommy, I want to thank God for the quality of work that you're doing with your clients and the appreciation that you're getting back from them. You and I work with so many different organizations and have over the years that sometimes you just don't even think about the difference that you're making in some of those organizations and how those are watershed moments for people, that they're making significant decisions about their lives, what they want to do. And so kudos to you. And every time you say those things, I know I'm thinking inside of myself, I'm so glad that they have Tommy Lewis working with them, because I know that your heart and your passion is toward trying to do the right thing. It doesn't have anything to do with you. But I'm glad that you allow us to celebrate in your success. And I want to say this to you, community. Don't find yourself in relationship with anybody that can't be happy about your successes. If you have to hide them, if you can't tell them without somebody thinking that you're blowing your own horn or whatever, then those are the wrong people for you to be hanging with. I want to hear every story that Tommy Lewis has. I want to hear about every success. I want to hear all the details. I want to hear what he did and what he said and how it affected people. And I want to be happy for him. And I'd say that's who you want in your life. All the people that you have to curtail what you say because they think you're bragging or anything like that, those are not the people that you want to really be spending, investing greatly in them. And with truth, and it makes kind of lonely, doesn't it, Tom?
It does.
If you don't have anybody that you can tell those things to, you just have to go to the corner, thank God, pray to pray to God, be quiet, think it in your own head, but you can't tell anybody else.
Yeah, that's very lonely because we are conduits, right. So we're not just standalone, caricatures of ourselves. We're conduits. So whatever God and other folks are instilling in us, we're learning, we're researching, folks doing that stuff. Yeah. We come to some awareness or epiphany and we share with someone and it works because it worked for us. Then we want to, hey, it's working. Everything is going to be okay. Versus the woe is me, it's the end of the world, you're alone, we're all alone, we're just lonely. I don't really care for that lonely side. I care for listening to your stories. I hear success. When I hear your stories, I always take something away. Like, okay, I want to try that. That was interesting. Or if it's a resource, let me go to the primary source, then get into the wormhole there, and learn so much. That Saturday mornings on Diversity Conversations, always learning something. Communities chiming in. We learn something. I learn something from the community all the time, and that's what this is about.
And I'd say that we all do need that. And I'll tell you, I've said this before, but every once in a while I'll hear Tommy say something like, "Well, let me wrap up," and I think to myself, the fact that he has said that suggests to me that he's been talking to some people who you can see that they're not as interested. We know we're on the clock. And so I'm like, no, bro, I'm good, man. I'm enjoying listening to you. You don't have to wrap up for me, But I know I feel the same way, Tommy. I don't say it, but I also am monitoring how long I talk. When I meet new people and I really respect them, when I was younger, it was even much harder. I got so excited. I wanted to tell them everything about me because I like who you are and I want you to know me, Then the older I got, I realized that people don't want to hear all that. And so now I really curtail, and you're really holding back some valuable things that people that care about you and respect you and love you. I mean, we got to be like the parents that we had. Our parents would just listen to us and make us feel like they cared. And we don't find that in a lot of places, but I'm grateful to hear your stories, and I'm grateful that you listen to mine.
Absolutely.
My week, I was in Philadelphia this week. I was speaking at a conference, a food marketing conference. I went to Philly and had to do 4 sessions in a day. And so, I did that. And I really do enjoy leading sessions with skeptical people. And I love creating the kind of environment that's so open that they can ask anything. And so I was talking about sort of the attacks on DEI, and I could see, and then one of the participants said, do you believe that any of those attacks are legitimate? I said, hey, I'm glad you asked.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I said, there are issues that have happened in this space.
Yes.
There are people that have not led this work in the way that's honorable. I said, so I recognize, and I gave him an example. I said, on the downside, I said, I was working with a company where a white guy had a white employee that worked for him, that he was his friend, but he wasn't that good. And he had a position that opened up, and the best person for the job was a woman. And his buddy came to him like, hey man, what happened? And he couldn't face that. So he told me, he said, they got this diversity thing, man. And so my hands are tied. I wanted to choose you, but they told me I either had to choose a minority or a woman. So I just went with the woman. So instead of telling him that he wasn't good enough, he told him that diversity. Now, what do you think people would feel about diversity if somebody told them that the reason why they didn't select you? And then I changed that. I said, now look, that was an example of it being said the wrong way. I said, there are some companies that chose a woman or a minority who was not the most qualified. So that's happened too. I said, so in those instances where people are utilizing this to discriminate against other more capable, more talented people, then it's legitimate to be wanting to attack that. I said, but honestly, in this world, you couldn't survive in this space if you were dogging out the dominant culture. You didn't have much longevity. Yeah, that's not a good model for longevity. And then I also had a chance to observe another training session. I met a good friend there, Ashish, and Ashish owns his own consulting business. His focus is on happiness in the workplace. He worked for McKinsey for about 15 years. Brilliant guy, had a lot of research around happiness. We're going to talk a little bit about that today. But the other thing that I did, Tommy, is that I had a chance to go to opening day. Now, I've never been a big opening day. I know you are because you're a baseball guy, a former pro baseball player. But I just started going to opening day since I've been serving on the Reds DEI advisory board. So I went last year, they lost. I went this year and it was 8-2. And Tommy, I invited my brother, I invited my kids, but I ended up going by myself and I just got back from Philly. But Tommy, I took it as a research opportunity, man. And I was just observing this whole thing. Yep. And the lesson that I walked away with was that everybody was crazy excited and crazy happy. And I was saying to myself, what can we do to bottle that up? In other words, while we're living in times of such negativity, where everybody feels stressed out. Somebody was asking me about why aren't more people really, fighting against the attacks on DEI. My answer was they're exhausted. Yeah, sure. I mean, people are literally burnt out, man. There's so much, I don't know why it is, but in this day and time that we live in, people are worn out. They can't hardly get through their work day that when it's done, they're not looking for somebody to say, are you ready to join a movement? What? I'm trying to go home, sit down and just veg out. But the other thing that I saw is I was sitting next to a family that had come from Louisville to the game. And they brought their son, who was probably about 14. And he looked like he was a cancer patient. And he was ailing a bit. His best friend came with him. And this kid just turned and led cheers in the section, and people helped him to stand up. I want you to see that, Tommy. Let's see if I can pull that up. Go Cincinnati!
The whole damn. Yeah, that's beautiful, Eric. So just to frame it up a little bit more, at the Reds opening day, different folks from different strokes come in to support the league's first ball club, the Cincinnati Red Stockings. And in that one moment of opening day, you go to the game, you don't know who's your neighbor, right? Who's to your right, who's to the back, who's in front, who's to the rear of you, all directions. And in this case, this young man who's battling with cancer, I'm particularly not a fan of cancer at all.
Right.
That thing has shown up in my family that
Yeah.
I'm like, let's fight cancer. And so to have, and I understand that the young man stood up with some assistance.
Yeah.
To cheer folks on and then galvanize the fans who are
Right.
around him.
Drunk.
Yep.
Of different colors.
Everything.
All helping it.
Just helping out and cheering on the ball club for the day.
Right. And one of the Reds players threw a baseball up into the crowd. It was close to our area. Another guy 2 rows down caught it, and everybody in the section was like, "Come on now, you know what you got to do with that baseball? Give it to the kid."
Yeah.
And he gave it to the kid. And like, yeah. The other thing, Tommy, that I did, Ken Wilson, you'll get a kick out of this, is that after the game, I literally went to that little corridor area right in front of the stadium, and I sat down with my iPhone, and I just posted up in a seat that was right in the middle of the runway, and I just videotaped random people that were just coming at me, just silently videotaping it, because I saw so much diversity. I saw short people and tall people and people of all races hugging, kissing, just partying, drunk, yelling. And as I sit there with my iPhone, people would go by me, and then they would come back like, "Go Reds!"
Right? Grabbing each other.
Hey, we're number one. We're number one. Right. And I was like, what? I mean, you could be a killer or a stalker or anything. And they're literally coming back, losing their minds. And I said, what can we do to bottle that? Because I'm telling you all that we're not going to get this country to a better place by just having deep conversations about diversity. Some of this is going to have to be getting drunk together. I don't drink, but the mentality is what I'm talking about, where we lose our minds, having fun with each other, laughing together, and caring deeply about each other in those moments. And so what we're going to talk about today in part is what is the value in our lives around happiness. So I didn't tie the two together, but when I was in Philly, the gentleman that was a happiness guru, but that wasn't consciously on my mind when I was at the game, but I was just watching all of this and people just lose their minds. And I said, there's something to that, Tommy, that we've got to capture.
Absolutely.
So there are a couple of ways to look at this. One, so the gentleman that I went to his session, he identified 9 practices that can help us as individuals to rewire our brains and elevate our consciousness to be the best versions of ourselves. So what we're saying here is that as you allow happiness to consume you, there are practices that can enable you to rewire your brain so that you're constantly displaying the best version of yourself. Tommy, what would that look like if we were demonstrated on a regular basis in our families and in our leadership and with our customers and clients? What would it look like if we were constantly rewiring our brain to demonstrate and display the best versions of ourselves?
So it would look like a positive development in self-awareness, right? So happiness, I think, for myself and maybe for many others, it's an internal journey. Some people believe that they are happy because of other people.
Right.
I believe that the happiness is in the person, and another person may trigger that happiness. They may increase that happiness. They just may remind us. So coming together every Saturday morning, I'm a happy person.
Right.
But I get happier knowing I'll come in and talk with you, etc.
That's right.
And so I think that self-awareness really allows us to keep, reframing our present moment into what potential is. Right. And we don't have to, always harp on what did not happen. what's the worst that will happen,
Right.
but actually what is the best that might happen.
So let me add to that and bring you into this current moment. So Tommy and I are not on somebody else's show where we're showing up at the studio and we want to be the stars. And we hope they got us a private dressing room and they got grapes and everything for us. No, we do this ourselves. But I am so excited that Tommy is coming to visit our studio here that I just go get prepared.
Yeah.
I go to Walmart, I get grapes. I mean, we got all kind of stuff.
Right.
You know, we got food, we got bananas, man, that we're eating, orange juice. I mean, we live in large up in here. And we come up in here and it is like a little heaven because my good friend is coming here. We're preparing for you all. And we're so excited that you show up every week and we can just make this what we want it to be. And I would say to you that so often in our lives, we're thinking about why me or why things aren't happening for me, when oftentimes we can create the realities that we want to experience. And Tommy Lewis and I are having a ball, and we're just so glad that you all see enough value that you show up each week and you bring wisdom and insight to this conversation. I'm also reminded of this weekend being the weekend when Christ gave his life for us. And then he rose to let us know that he's still alive. And because Jesus Christ is alive, he has a lot of blessings that he can provide for us.
Yeah, Eric, that can bring joy. I want to throw this in real quick. We'll get to some other things. Eric, we've got to work out a way to get our community members to be able to call in.
Yeah, that's right.
What I was thinking about earlier when we were talking about our weeks, I would love to hear from our community. How was your week?
Yeah.
So call in to the chat.
Right, please.
Talk to us. We talk to one another. Because Eric and I, we talk and we go through the how was your week, but I want to be inspired by all of us.
That's right. That's right. I love that.
And that will build some happiness as well.
Right. So if you have thought about how was your week, what made you happy this week? Are there challenges that you are experiencing? Is there something that you're doing in this happy Holy Week? Thanks, Ken. That you want to share with us, that we can share with others. Please bring those things forward and we'll accept those. If we look at these 9 things that he talked about, I'm going to rattle off 2 or 3, Tommy, and then let you kind of react to whichever ones you want. He said, number 1, so again, individuals, we can rewire our brain and elevate our consciousness to be the best versions of ourselves. Now, I'm constantly threatening that to myself. Yeah. I'm going to be the best version of myself. But the greatest battle that you'll ever face is the one with the person in the mirror. But what I know is that as we get better at focusing on being the best version of ourselves, everywhere we go, we deliver something better. So self-awareness is a practice that we need to be developing, sort of defining your purpose and embracing mindful living. So any one of those, Tommy, that resonates with you, increasing our self-awareness, defining our purpose, embracing mindful living.
I want to speak to embracing mindful living. I think that resonates with me, Eric.
Okay.
Because I may not have always done that to embrace mindful living. I have found myself almost reacting to life and actually building pride in my ability to positively react to life.
Right.
Not really being mindful of living,
right,
but responding to life as that fastball or curveball is being thrown at me. I think I'm going to pivot.
Right.
I'm going to pivot to embrace the mindful living, to say, okay, this is life, right? What are the lessons being taught to me? What are the lessons that I might share with others? what is the present time,
Mm-hmm.
and also bringing both the past and the future together in that moment. Mindfulness in the moment is literally, I think, to smell the roses of the moment. Yeah, so that's resonating.
I love that, Tommy. So let me build on that. So I remember one of the best times that I remember living was on a college campus when spring came.
Yeah.
On a college campus when spring comes and the sun is out and everybody's throwing on their shorts. You are like, I'm not going to school. You know, it's like you lose your mind.
Yes.
And the sun has just absorbed you.
Yeah.
And you're happy to be, and they throw parties and the music comes up and you get in your car, no matter how it drove, and you're going to drive somewhere with the windows down.
Yeah.
And, but as you get older, if you're not careful, you're not celebrating the season in the same way. But I know that one of the lessons of revelation that I got, that I share with my kids, is that success is not defined by homes, cars, salaries, jobs. It's defined by the quality of each moment lived. So enjoy living, live each moment out, because this is what life is. And I know, Tommy, that I feel that same kind of feeling when I walk out now and it's a sunny day and I just, every care in the world, I put it on the back burner and I thank God for the moments that we're in. Wendell and I just golfed yesterday. If we get a moment here this weekend, you and I might get out. But I'm saying that you've got to be mindful that you are in a blessed place. I don't care what's going on in your life. Don't allow the enemy to trick you and to deceive you that life can't be good for you. You can literally pull the switch and make things better. In terms of defining your purpose, I do know what my purpose is in life. I know my purpose is to reconcile people one to another and to ultimately try to reconcile them to God. So I'm very clear about my purpose, how to get there all the time. One of the other things that he talks about here is meditation. And Tommy, I know that I do not spend enough quiet time just meditating, man. And that's something that I want to do more. I'm too often filling up the space with stuff.
Yeah. You know, I have found myself doing more meditation. It may be unintentional when I'm traveling.
Yeah.
If I'm driving, sometimes for an hour or so.
Okay, that's a good thought, Tommy.
I just cut off the music.
Right.
Or even 30 minutes. I'll just ride in silence.
Right.
And allow my thoughts and energy to come and go. I have literally experienced, 4 or 5 very different emotions in a 30-minute span. That I've experienced tremendous joy on my drive, properly prepared, etc. And then kind of a sadness, sorrow that my mother and father cannot enjoy this with me.
Right.
And I said, man, if you were here, I think you'd be proud. And then in the next few moments, I'm almost to my destination and I'm still going to make you proud. Right. And then I fall back into my thinking, how can I do that? How can I be happy, make them proud, make me proud? All of that in a 30-minute span. And at the end, I find myself literally just coming to a place of calm, peace, and happiness. And no thoughts are coming to my mind, Eric. I just hear the rubber on the road, the wind passing by, nature. I'm in the moment. Something I would consider for anyone.
Right. I'm going to give you something else, and I want you all to think about this. We're asking for you to get active now. Y'all ain't doing y'all work yet this morning.
They're not.
We invited them to join us in the text area.
Mum's the word. We said talk, speak, say something.
Right. We've heard our voices for 6 years.
Yeah, right.
We'd like to hear yours. But I'll tell you, one of the other things that he talked about the power of gratitude. Yeah. And I think that that's so powerful, Tommy. I do take moments to share with my children and my wife what I'm grateful about. Tommy, why don't you start and just share a couple things? Well, let's get to what Roger has to say here first.
Absolutely. That was right on time. Roger says moments, just like you just said, Eric. God gives us a moment just before we make any decision, good or indifference. Right? That moment. That moment is a gift. Right? Oh, it's a real gift. And again, if you're not, I think if you're not mindful in the living moment,
powerful.
Yeah, you may miss that.
Yeah, you'll miss it. You'll miss it because you've allowed your will to run through it. So I hear what Roger's saying here is that God's given us a moment to hear his counsel and his voice. And too often, Tommy, when I was younger, I ran through those moments all the time. Now I actually know the consequence of it. So I have now the strength to bail. Say, I was getting ready to say that. Think not, because I don't think that would be helpful. But we're talking about gratitude. I know that the things that I'm grateful for. I'm grateful to have a family that I love dearly. I'm grateful to have a family that is loving each other, forgiving each other, supporting each other. That's a powerful thing.
Oh, so Eric, I'm grateful for similar things. I have to be a bit transparent here, and I'm learning more about myself and the moments that are afforded to me. So even in some of the most difficult times, I'm talking about recently, with me and my wife, a difficult discussion, or my son, or anyone else, I have a lot of gratitude in that I can be a part of that. And what I mean by that, Eric, is that sometimes it's hurtful because I'm the problem, right? I'm the problem. And I don't want to be the problem. I want to avoid or withdraw, whatever, but I'm the problem is being brought to my attention. Other times is by my lack of action or my silence, I can be part of the solution. Because sometimes when that tornado's there, folks lean to me or look to me in the whirlwind, right? And they're not asking me to come up with a solution like I always do, but can you see I'm in the mess? And I have been very gracious and gratifying to say, I'm with you. I see you. I acknowledge you. I am you. Lord knows that whatever you're going through in your moment, I will have a future similar moment for me. And I would like to be able to turn to you, my child, my spouse, my friend, to say, hey, can you see that I'm all over the place? At work, my administrator, my friend, Nicole, has been a blessing to me where I have on many occasions say, Nicole, I don't know if I'm coming or going.
Right.
I've literally said, I'm losing my mind, right? And it's not a bad thing. It's just I can't seem to focus on something. And she would say, what are you gracious for? What's gratifying? So, cause I'm a problem solver and got these problems. She says, well, I think you're gonna have problems forever. You're gonna be in your I'm telling you, I am so gracious and gratifying in the success, happiness, and problems and issues that we work through.
It's all fun. And so let me go down that lane as well and to say that I know that, have you ever seen a boxing match that you were pulling for one of the fighters and they were jamming for a long time and then they got hit with a stunner? And they're literally on the canvas on a knee, but we can see that they're just in and out. And we're wondering if they get up, they might get finished. They were literally winning the fight, but they could now get finished. So they had a turn of fortunes, and then the bell rang. I would say that I am grateful that God has allowed the bell to ring for me when I've made mistakes and I've been in my mess. That just before I just got embarrassed in front of the whole rest of the world, the bell rang and God protected me so that I could recover from it and learn the lesson versus being taken out. And I want you all to know that being taken out is sometimes what you've earned or deserved. You know, you were jamming for a while, but you left your right hand down. Boom, you got hit hard. You're supposed to be out, and yet the bell rang. And so I think that in our lives, too often when people see us, they see our public facing self and they don't really know all of the ways in which we could be taken out and embarrass our families. And the fact that God has rescued us in those moments is something to be grateful for.
Eric, that was a great analogy for me. God ringing the bell. We don't control that. He sees the fight. He sees us.
He's going under.
Right.
He's been hit twice. I told him.
He got the people in the corner. Come on, E. You still got to keep your legs, baby. Keep your legs. And God says, bing. Somebody go get him. Somebody go get him. Oh, all right. Get on that stool. Get some water. Take out that mouth guard. Right. Put some more Vaseline on you. Slick up. You look outside the ring, Eric, and you got your family, and they're looking like,
oh, I think Daddy's in the fog there. He's not looking good. Are we okay?
Are we okay?
Because you're not looking good.
You got your family starting to do mad.
Like you all like this, like, oh, nah.
You got the wife saying we're not going to be able to make that vacation at the end of May.
Right.
We got to work on the mortgage. We're going to have to restart because your daddy.
Yeah. Start that way.
It's going to be different,
mm-hmm.
right? And God rings the bell to say, no, everything is under my control.
Rather than smelling salt.
Smelling salt. Hey, are you with us?
Yeah.
Come back to
son, you gotta go back out there. What?
You got to smelling salt.
I gotta go back out there. That's how we feel sometimes. I gotta go back out there.
Hey.
They're really pulling on. Yeah, you look smooth.
Yeah.
But when you get hit hard, when you get rocked. And so the things that we're sharing right now are the ways to help you to not get rocked so often. If you are rewiring your brain so that you're doing the things that enable you to take greater advantage of your strengths. Let me give you a couple others. So practice gratitude, master your emotions, and fill up with compassion. Either one of those, Tommy.
Fuel up with compassion. Fuel up, right? As you're sitting on that stool, your cut guy is on you. You're getting your water, right? You're getting wiped on, maybe massaged on. Fuel up on compassion.
Mm-hmm.
And that compassion is, I think it's a phenomenal tool to allow you to look across the ring at the other corner and realize that the other fighter is going through the exact same experience.
Right.
Water, mouth guard out, folks massaging. Like, whoa, we're all in the same fight. Right? We are. And that's what compassion is.
Right.
So when you have a young man at a ball game who is battling cancer, you have folks galvanizing around him saying, we're all in this fight together.
Right.
Right?
Right.
We see the hand that you have been dealt. It may not be my hand, but I have compassion for you. And I pray and hope that others might have compassion in me, not knowing my hand. Because the hand that was dealt to me is under the waterline. It's not visible like a homelessness maybe or a physical disability. It may be something mental. I'm a CEO for a large company. I've been charged to make strong and difficult decisions, and I'm afraid.
Right.
Right? Have compassion for me as well.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I'll say to you that another word for compassion is love.
Yes, sir.
And what I would say to you is that this weekend represents the highest and greatest example of love that any man could show. That Christ went to the cross on our behalf to die so that we might be able to live. We live in a world of people coming for you and you showing them that you ain't taking it. And so that's the conversation that we're having most often. We're watching it in reality TV shows 24/7, where somebody ain't taking it. And what I know is that part of our strongest gift in life and part of the way that we have to rewire our brain in this negativity environment is that we have to rewire it towards gratitude, compassion, and love. Because as you begin to have compassion for others, Tommy, even in our business, let me make it real personal for us. In our business, we know that there are people within the clients that we serve that are advocates and allies, and we know there are people that are detractors. And on a regular basis, we're not thinking great thoughts about the detractors. But what I'm hearing right now is that ought to change. That people are detractors for whatever the reason is, it doesn't even matter. What if we were to start responding to them with gratitude and compassion and love? I just wrote down to myself, send emails to many that are serving on leadership teams that I'm working on. Not strategic emails with plastic words, but genuine emails with words of love and encouragement. Because I think that's a part of the missing formula that we don't apply. We're too often applying strategy and our own thinking, when if we go to God's powers and God's strength and God's wisdom, that there is no credible opponent to that. There's no defense against God's love.
Indeed. God's love is so powerful, consistent, and always on time, regardless to what we think the timing is. It's always on time.
Right. What about well-being? So one of the ways that we need to rewire our brain is, which can elevate our consciousness, is to invest in well-being, both personally and the well-being of others. Tommy, what does that mean to you?
I think that well-being, as it relates to personal happiness, is essential. So as you were talking about college in spring, Eric, it triggered happiness in me. I remember those times in college in spring and folks, wearing their spring gear free. I remember, maybe trying to speak to a young lady I was interested in. Hey, what's happening? And she was like, "Boy, I'm not interested in you." I was like, "All right,
right. But you look good."
Yeah, still on that kind of utopian high.
Yeah.
And it was, I know that academically I did better in the spring than I did in the fall. I may have started the fall strong, but then start the
cold days,
started to teeter. So with well-being, I believe it's speaking directly to one's efforts to take care of self, to be happy, right? And that happy is, am I doing anything physical, right? That may, have that shot of endorphins or, kind of reach a goal that I may have for myself. Or if I'm taking care of myself by way of wellness, to be mentally and spiritually strong for the upcoming fight, which I don't know what it is. That's what I do with wellness. In fact, physically, I've been a bit under the weather, lost my voice, had the nagging cough, right? And I've been thinking, man, I want to get back to me. It's not that I'm unhappy, but I know that sincerely, I'm not able to give my full 100% self. And so now it's, chipping away at my wellness.
Right. And we need that. And so Rob said sometimes you look to the left, to the right, in front of you, but it's what you don't see behind you when you're dependent on compassion.
Ooh.
Speak about that, Tommy, and then I'll jump in.
Yeah, I think we know for the most part what we can see, but when we can't see what's behind us, and that's what we're dependent on with compassion, are those people who have us in their preview. They're looking at us and they can see us.
Right.
From our, and what if there's an analogy, if someone's walking a good distance behind you, that they can see what's in front of you, they can see you, and they can see where you come from. Sometimes compassion is just a right. So and then you turn around.
Right.
What's happening? So no, you've been swaying left and right.
Right.
On your walk, your journey.
Right.
Oh, Roger, on your journey, you don't even know that you may think you're going straight in there.
Right.
But you've been bumping up against this shore, bumping up against this shore. Right. You've been jumping over pothole. I'm looking at you saying, you can just walk around that pothole and stop trying to jump over it. Right. Are you seeing compassion? Are you seeing clearly?
Right.
And then while I'm turning around to that person, like, you know what? I haven't been seeing clearly.
Right.
Ooh, that's what that speaks to me.
That's powerful. And I'll tell you, so I've reconnected with a good friend of mine, Chris Pittman. And when I knew Chris best, we were both warrior basketball players. And that's what we would do. We'd be on the court battling. And then we finally put our wonder powers together. And we felt like we could beat anybody on the planet. And so that's what we did. And then he gave his life to God. And I gave my life to God. And we were together probably for a year. And then he moved away. And he became a pastor. And all I could really think about is the party and ball playing Chris. So I was always wondering what kind of pastor he would be. And none of us looks especially brilliant when we're partying and yelling on the basketball court. And then I reconnected with him a year ago in Savannah, Georgia. Went to Savannah. I was speaking at the Sherman's Inclusion Conference, and I told him I wanted to hang out. And I actually, scheduled to stay in Savannah a couple extra days. Now, I usually don't like to do that. I get in, I come on out. But I said, I'm on, and it was hard for us to get connected. And I was on faith that we would get connected. We did. And it was like I refound my long lost brother. And so we literally have not stopped talking since I got back from Savannah, Georgia. But I was talking to him yesterday, and we both have sort of some discernment about each other. And I was telling him about what I was seeing. And I was really speaking with love about what I saw in him. First of all, I know he, like myself, we're not perfect. But I told him, I said, man, I believe that God is happy with you because you are a person that's super gifted as an orator. You're charismatic, but you're humble and you love God's people, and you've not allowed your gift to carry away your ego. You're still doing the assignment that God called you to. You're not trying to be puffed up. You don't even have all the armor bearers. You don't even sit up in the pulpit because you want to be with the people. And I said, I just want to encourage you, man, that I'm so proud of the way that you are doing things. And no matter what weaknesses your flesh has, I want you to hear me say on behalf of God, in some ways, that I believe that God is proud that you have kept the main thing in mind. And what that means, community, is that when we're called to sort of influence the world, we're never going to influence them from a perfect place. We're always going to try to influence, first of all, ourselves, but then others around us from a broken place, from a suboptimal place, from a flesh and feet of clay place. That's as good as it gets. I don't care what anybody says to you. Nobody is ever living here on earth from a place of perfection. So it's going to be from that place of brokenness and gaps and mistakes that you somehow got to stay the course in terms of what your purpose is. And as we see that in people, whether it's big or small, I think it's a blessing if we share that.
You know, Eric, as I was hearing you share that, you know, life is so interesting in that if any of us make it to any next year,
Right.
it's almost a miracle. Right. And I'm not always talking about physically making it into the year. It's the broken glass that keeps crashing around us, and we're, you know, kind of maneuvering or sometimes stepping on it and make it to the next moment. It's a miracle. That is why I think we as humans who are you know, guided by a stronger value system, right, bigger than us, that we ourselves believe it covers everyone,
right,
that we can only get through any of this together. That's why I think we can only get through it together. So yeah, that's the only way. And sure, it's not going to be 100%, but even if it is 60-40, the 60 that have come together for the betterment of humanity will be a model for the betterment of humanity. We're not talking about status, class, politics, education. We're not talking about any of that. We're just talking about the salvation of human beings, and souls. That
you're saying stuff, Tommy.
60% will start to, you know, influence through modeling.
Right.
Yep.
So let me slow down the tape, as we often do, and kind of give you another way of looking at what Tommy just said. Tommy said, stop sitting back, consuming negative media, and feeling bad for the generic world out there. Boy, the world is going to hell in a handbasket. We are literally reacting to the images of a negative news media and the stimulation from the external world, instead of engaging ourselves with the flesh of people that are right by us. In other words, the formula to the future, a better future, starts with the connection with others. You cannot get to a better future by spending all of your oxygen on taking care of the space that you stand on. You're going to have to get away from the space that you're standing on and the messages that you're receiving to connect with individuals. And as we do that, we will see a better future for the world around us. It's not going to happen out of our minds. Let's look at what Roger has said. Roger says, sometimes in the darkness, I depend on the shadows because they arrive first. And that's powerful. The shadows arrive first. And what happens is that sometimes the clarity in our own minds is the foolishness of ourselves and our flesh. We got to sometimes get in the darkness. I'm ADHD, all my kids were. When Eric was a baby, he couldn't nurse because he was so distracted about everything that was going on around him. Judy would literally have to take the cover and cover his eyes so that he could then just nurse. And I'm saying to you all that we've got to cover our eyes so that sometime we can get the wise insights that God wants to put in our heads.
Yeah, this is a load today. Communities chimed in. Sometimes we got to cover our eyes. We have to turn down and turn off the noise. We have to be in the present of our own wellness and our pursuit of our own happiness. Sometimes we cannot depend on other people and what they say or do to make us happy.
Right.
Right. We can't do it. So again, just to go back to that happiness, there are a number of things, even a few, that I do that make me happy, such that if I do them by myself, I'm happy.
Okay.
One of which is golf.
Right.
Simply driving to the course with the anticipation of greatness.
Right.
Before I start.
Same here.
The potential of greatness
Right.
makes me happy.
Right.
Today is going to be the day that I have learned how to play within myself.
Mm-hmm.
The ball will go where I tell it to go.
Right.
Everything is going to fall in place.
Mm-hmm.
For 18 holes, 4.5 hours, 5 hours. After the first 2 or 3 strokes, then it's I just want one hit.
Right, not the whole 18.
Right.
Right.
And so what that looks like is my level of happiness expectation is very high.
Right.
And as my performance does not meet my expectation, I just rest on happiness.
Right.
So I want that to land. At the end of the day, I am sitting and resting in happiness and joy. Will I do it again? Yep. Would I do it again? Yes, absolutely. I'll keep landing on joy. But if I do something and at the end of the day, time and time, I'm landing on frustration, annoyance, maybe even anger.
Right.
Time and time again, no, this is not where I want to end up. And I don't want to get in that cycle that this, where I'm landing now, is normal.
Right.
Because my normal is to be happy.
Right. I like that. So let me share this with you all, that many of you may be like Tommy and myself, where we were raised to expect and go after high levels of performance. And so when you have a performance mentality and a strong work ethic, you measure everything by what did I accomplish. And so with me, I'm in need of 2 knee replacements now. And so when I play golf, I'm playing more in the 90s than I am in the 80s. And honestly, I'm not happy about that. But I'm now adjusting my overall view, and I'm combating my performance orientation to redefine what joy and success are. So yesterday, I probably shot a 50. Wendell and I played together. We both probably shot exactly the same number. I told him he won because, he's a younger player. But Tommy, I took one on that hole. We played at Beach Creek.
Yeah.
On that one par 5 at the end, I took out my driver and I smacked the ball and it went all the way into the creek.
Wow.
Yeah. And I said I didn't care that it went into the creek. Now, I said it before I felt it. I said it, but inside I'm like, I want to find my ball. Yeah, I want to find my ball. So that's what was in me, is I want to find my ball because I want to score. But it was in that moment that I had to realize that the most beautiful part about this day was it's 72 degrees. I'm out here and the leaves are rustling and the grass feels great under my feet. And I hit a great shot the right direction, even if it went to the creek. So don't allow yourself to miss the beauty of the moment because the shot went into the creek. You actually get to go over there and look at this creek and the water sound and all the greenery around it. And all of that feels good if you're looking at it the right way.
Yes.
And so that's one of the things that I'm going to encourage us. Let's see what Roger had to say to us next. Whoops.
Yeah.
I might be.
Absolutely. And thanks for chiming in, everyone.
Right.
And Charlotte. Hey, Charlotte, how's it going? Charlotte says, those with positive minds move forward, right? That positive, kind of growth, mindset growth model. We move forward. We always, I think, want to be moving forward in one way, shape, or form, right? Hopefully we're changing. We get older. We may experience a different day. Hopefully we've learned from that experience. But let's move forward. And moving forward doesn't mean you have to trample over other people if they are in their moment of a stationary moment.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what it's saying. It's not pushing people from behind, right? Roger says this. I feel the same way when I'm baking or cooking. We were talking about the joy and happiness of golf. Roger feels the same way with baking and cooking. I don't have to depend on anyone having the same passion that I do for what I do.
And here's the thing. So Roger is an amazing cook, award-winning. But what he just said to us there was before you get that delicious, soft, moist take of his pound cake, that pound cake with the lovely icing on it, before your taste buds get to enjoy that, he's already extracted a lot of joy out of just baking it and doing it. And so the last couple of things that our author has said to us is build community and live life intentionally. And so what Tommy and I are trying to say to you today on this Saturday before Resurrection Sunday, that we want to encourage you to do the things that will rewire your brain so you don't allow all the negative influences in the world around us to consume you, but that you raise your consciousness so that you can actually experience life being lived by your best self more intentionally. Because as you do that, you're going to improve and increase the quality of your life, which is going to increase the positive value of the world around us. Tommy, why don't you close us out?
The challenge for this weekend is to share just random happiness and joy. Just random, right? Unapologetic joy and happiness. I want to say thank you to our community.
Absolutely.
For doing the same for us. Unapologetically just joining every Saturday for these diversity conversations. We pray and hope that you and your families are in good health, good spirits, and the ability to share the joy that you all have developed over the moments over the many, many years. Thank you again on behalf of me, Eric Ellis, and see you next week on another installment of Diversity Conversations.